having had such a big couple of things right off the bat, when you look down the road for yourself now, like what are comedy goals that you have for yourself or things you'd like to see or
Yeah.
like what now? I mean, like what do you peaked and you just
I'm done. This podcast is it.
this is
Once
it.
I walk out of this room, my career is over.
You're listening to the podcast, Clean Comedy Chats with your host, Drew Davis. It's gonna be awesome and will change your life forever. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Welcome back to the Clean Comedy Chats. I'm your host, as always, Drew Davis. I didn't change who I was between now and last week. And you are here listening to a podcast that has to do with a lot of clean comedians who are part of the group, the Clean Comedy Collective. Each week, we bring you someone different to get to know. And I like to hope that either I'm introducing you to your favorite comedian ever, or at least like maybe I made a new friend. However, this week is different because one, we're live in my actual house. This is a virtual episode. And two, the comedian we're interviewing is already one of my friends. We're interviewing Carrie Murphy from Nashville, Tennessee. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm so pumped to be here, Drew. I have an enormous amount of respect for what you do, so I'm so humbled to be here today and talk some comedy.
That's what we're here for. We
Yeah.
and Carrie, I don't know how we like met. Like
We'll never figure
we'll
it out.
never.
One day there was no Drew in my life. The next, like your number was in my phone. We were getting coffee.
That's how every woman meets me.
right.
They're like, we don't know him, and then
you just appear.
and that's
Yeah.
weird. That's how
Yeah.
that's how it works. But yeah, but what we have so much in common is in like we used to be in youth ministry. Ministry
Yeah,
in
ministry.
general. And then we do comedy, and I don't know
We both love old people.
yes.
One of us does.
we have a lot of experience working with old people.
Yeah.
And one of us mind them. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say I don't know. They're fine.
You don't like collect them or anything.
I don't have like in any. That's a weird. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering about Carrie Murphy as a comedian and not a collector of old people, let me give you a short little bio over. Carrie Murphy has shared the stage with Matthew West, CeCe Winans, Michael Tate, and Tasha Layton's like Dayton. That's right. We just talked about that. And I honestly I know Michael Tate, but like I only know of context really Matthew West. So I'm excited to talk more about that. Carrie also has a 9-episode comedy special on Caleb. I don't know what's going on. Okay, this is
It's
my
just
first time ever.
you're intimidated to be with such greatness.
It is. That's exactly what's
You're just
happening.
tongue-tied.
I don't even know what I'm doing. Additionally, Carrie has written 3 films, a devotional, and lots of jokes. So we're going to get into all that and more in our episode. But before we do that, Carrie, beyond the bio, beyond all the things we can read about you, beyond all the things we tell you you are, who is Carrie Murphy?
Ooh, what a deep question. First, I would say I'm a child of God. I'm a wife, a dog mom. In fact, I just ordered a license plate, like a vanity plate, which I know is so lame.
Awesome.
But it says dog mom. And I'm someone who is a weirdo and just trying to capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
That's what are the weirdest things about you that you capitalize on?
Oh man, have I mentioned I like old people?
Yep.
We
both have a shared passion for the elderly.
We do. We could have a whole podcast on that.
Carrie, Drew, and the old people.
Yes. But now I'm just thinking about old people, and I don't even remember what your question was.
What's one of
the oddity
things about you? But that works.
Yeah, that works.
That works. Well, okay. So there's a lot of different things I want to cover with you. I think I want to start with your unique experience coming into comedy and how it had to do. Basically, if I'm not mistaken, you tell the story better because you actually know it. But you did comedy once, and then you got a Caleb special.
Yes. Which is nuts.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear more about it. And for our listeners also to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot to tell you guys, we are part of the Clean Comedy Collective. You can check out all of our stuff at cleancomedycollective.com. You can see previous episodes of the podcast. You can, me and Carrie are both in the Tennessee section of the website, but you can go see your new favorite comedian from whichever state you're from. There's a place where you can donate to the Clean Comedy Collective. You can join our Patreon, which lets you have full access to the episodes that are uncut. So you get to hear all the hilarious things that I have cut in this episode from Miss Sane. And then also there's a way where you can see what shows we have coming up. And so check out the Clean Comedy Collective. Anyway, that was the side commercial.
CCC.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go.
CQ.
Yay!
There we go.
C3. Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. Look at us. Anyway, let's get back to you and Caleb. And how did
Yeah.
that happen? Like, how did you
Yes.
start, and then how did you get Caleb?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the deal?
So when I was growing up, wanted to be a comedian. I watched a special by Mark Lowry, who is like, probably you haven't heard of him, but he was like a Christian comic. And so it was the first time I had seen someone who was like clean and a believer, and he can sing very well. He wrote Mary Did You Know? So like he was using all of this musicalness. He was making music videos, all a part of his special. And I remember watching that over and over and over and thinking like, that's a me. Like that's another me. He's weird, he's wacky, he's zany. And I was like, I'm not a lone ranger in this world. Like there are other people. So I always had this like in the back of my mind nagging desire to do comedy, but the pragmatic part of me never allowed me to explore it. And also fear. I mean, I had a lot of fear about, just going out. It's so vulnerable. And for me, I'm kind of a perfectionist where I want anything I'm putting out to be high quality, what I want. And so the art of just like going out and winging it, not knowing if things are funny was like a big stumbling or like a big roadblock for me. So I found myself in ministry and I was loving it. It was great. I found myself like covertly just like putting comedy into what I was doing, like through the events I was making, through the things I was hosting, and
I bet you were great at facilitating events and like the MC or
ace, and like the staff I was with, we had like within the staff a group that planned the staff's parties, appreciation events and stuff. And one night the church let me do. We were on a retreat, and they let me do the Carrie Murphy show, which was like a kind of like a late night spinoff, but with staff. And it just like something started stirring and brewing. And I was like, if I don't just try, like, even if it flops, even if I fail, I just have to see. I have to see what's on the other side of this fence I'm too afraid to jump over. So I was working a normal 9-to-5 ministry job, great benefits. Stability,
all those good things,
all those wonderful things. And I really just felt like I needed to just come out comedian. Like I really did. And so I was in my mid 30s at the time. I'm in my late 30s now. And it was like, I don't have the time to go to 10 million open mics until 12. I'm married. I want to see my husband. Like it just didn't really fit in my life at the time. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to go hard. I'm going to go all out. I'm going to just show everyone I'm funny in one night. And then from then, who knows what will happen. So I booked the Franklin Theater, a wonderful theater here in Tennessee, and hoped I would sell tickets. Didn't know what I was going to say. I have been trying to perfect like a tight 5, tight 10 ever since that whole thing. But like at the time I had no material and I booked myself for an hour. So I really just like took a step, and this was in January. The show was in April.
Oh, nice.
So I gave myself, time to plan and like invested in myself. I booked the theater hoping I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nobody in the comedy realm. I was just like, hey, I'm going to do this. And I remember the day of the show being so afraid that I almost was just like, we need to cancel day of. Like, I can't do, what did I do? Like all the things. I'm like looking at this empty theater. And
was it one of those where like you didn't know how many, like you knew you hadn't sold any tickets yet?
Oh,
like,
I knew. I sold it out.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why I was just like, what the crap did I do? I mean, some of it was family and friends, some of them weren't. And so I just had a freak out like the day of like, I have no business being there, and I didn't. But I remember the very second where I went onto stage for the first time, and how I say it is like it felt like all of me finally aligned. And it went well. It was super fun. It went by fast, but I was getting the laughs, like it was working. And I just felt like after that night, one, I felt fearless. I felt like I could just do anything now, which that was pretty fleeting. But number two, it just like confirmed that this is what I want to try and do. And as God would have it, there were some people in the room. One from K-Love, which is a Christian radio station that's nationwide. He was there. Another person I really respect, John Acuff, was there. He's like a Christian writer, humorist. Anyways, so I didn't know that the K-Love guy was there. I didn't meet him or anything. And I just thought, man, I did that. I'm proud of myself. That was great. Who knows what from here? And then about 2 months later, he called and offered me a special with K-Love. And I mean, it's just one of those things where like you never know how your journey's going to go, and the ups and downs. And for me, my story was it started with like two huge highs, like a 1 hour show that sold out at a theater, which I have not done since.
Yeah, that's
that's
an accomplishment.
Yeah. And then a comedy special with different episodes. And now there's more funny things on K-Love, which I love that they're like expanding it more too. But
you were the first.
I was the first. Yeah. And that was a very humbling experience. It's weird. I look back now and like, now that I've been doing comedy for a few years, I would have done things so differently. And it's like my freshman album, like my very first like special that's posted. It's like that's my first. Like I was just like, ugh, I mean, do you look back at your first one and you're like, man, I've improved since then, or I would have done things.
So I'm kind of proud. So it's interesting. I'm proud of my first one. I'm less proud of my second one.
Really?
Right. So, but the first one, when I listen to it, it's like I do hear how I would do things differently. But I'm kind of proud of like that was because at the time I thought that was like going to be like my last comedy thing I was going to do.
Really?
I thought I was going back into full-time ministry and I was done with comedy. So it's like this is seven. But for me, it wasn't like it was like 7 years, and then I'm going to put out an album. So like I feel like it was the best I could do at that point, and I was proud of it. Although now I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I told those jokes so much better, or I would speak less fast. Or
Sure.
The biggest thing is we filmed it in December at a comedy club, and there was a Christmas tree on stage, and I never once referenced the tree. And I feel like I should. I feel
now
like
Christmas trees haunt you every Christmas.
Yeah. No, we don't even celebrate Christmas anymore because I don't like looking at those trees. No, but I do feel like when I listen, I used to be able to listen to it. Now I don't really listen to it anymore just because it's old. But it was a different experience of the second one because like a few months after recording it, I felt like I had a comedy growth moment, and I'm like, I tell those jokes so much better than what I hear on the. So it was weird. So anyway, but so when you listen to your first one, because now you have two.
I do.
So now you have two. When you listen to your first one, is it like, do you come at it with like a sense of pride or a sense of like, oh Lord?
It's a mix because what I like about that first special with K-Love is I'm so like naive and just like a purist with comedy. Like I hadn't shopped it around. I hadn't done open mics. So it was just so me. And I really loved that. Like it wasn't influenced by anything. I didn't know if the jokes would land. So I think that's what I'm most proud of when I watch it. Now, objectively, as a, someone outside of myself, it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to weigh your own stuff. And I feel like no matter what, I have like a sensitivity to my stuff being out anywhere, which is like funny for a comic to say because that's the whole thing. But like that is still a new sensation for me of like, here's this art that I worked really, really hard on, up for the general public to just have at,
Just
murder. Yeah. And so, yeah, mixed feelings. But I would say, like, having done that is one of, like, the things in my life I'm most proud of. Like, it's a point where I can pinpoint it and go, okay, for that time, I was a good comic or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like mile markers. I think as comics, you get those mile markers.
And I wonder if the authenticity of, especially like I'm thinking of like your Franklin show, like you were saying, people laughed, it sold out, it was a good experience. And I think maybe like I think about my very first time I did an open mic, it actually went pretty good.
Did it?
It did. I got laughs, I felt good about it. And in hindsight, I think it's because I didn't know what to be nervous about.
Yes.
I didn't know. I just went up there and did my thing, and I was too inexperienced to know what to be nervous about.
Sure.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's maybe why it went so well, is because I just went up there and was authentically
Absolutely.
myself and funny. And then it took me a while to kind of do that on purpose. But, and so I wonder if like your first show, like that Franklin one, if like the reason it went so well is because you were so new, you didn't have any idea what to be.
For sure. And like, I didn't know any other comics. No other comics were in the room. Like, which for me has been something I've had to grow into, is like when I've done open mics and you're there, I'm like, oh, Drew's watching now. Like, I don't know. There's just a different like awareness. I would say my level of awareness has increased of just like what people expect, what it takes, what's normal, what's not normal.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing that we have that awareness as comedians? Like, what do you think? Like, is that, yeah.
It just feels hard. Like, I wish I could go back to when I was just totally like, I'm just going to do this show and it's going to be great and a success. Because now I have so much failure, because that's just part of it, right? Like, that it's like, it's almost like I was shown like the pinnacle. And then ever since then, it's like, okay, now I have to put in the dues.
Right.
Now I have to do the grueling part of being a comedian.
Yeah, because really you did. You started off, your first show was a sold out theater.
Yeah.
And then you had a special. And those are two things that as new comedians, we work ourselves up to.
Yes.
You start out in the grungy open mic dive bar scene. And when you feel like we'll talk a little bit more about, because we're actually doing a slight movie review in this podcast.
Yeah.
So we're going back to my roots as a podcaster.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how like in the movie Is This Thing On, how he started an open mic comedy and it was a big deal when he got his first little dive bar 10-minute showcase. But like your literal first performance was a sold out theater.
Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned too, you said in hindsight there'd be some things you do differently. Have you labeled what things you would do differently?
Yeah. I mean, I'm being genuine here. This is not a plug, but I would get a consultant like you do, who's been in the business, to hear my set and go, step forward when you say this, put your arm up when you do this. Like, I'm so good at taking direction, but I had no one direct me. And it's like, that was a miss, because I do need that and I want that. And then I didn't mention this when I was telling the story, but I went to counseling up leading to the show because I was so scared and I was like processing so much fear.
Yeah.
Like
you went to like professional real counseling, not like comedy counseling.
Yes. I didn't see Drew Davis. No, I saw like a legit counselor because I'm like, I'm trying to do this thing that I want to do, that I've been putting off, that I really struggle with because of fear. And it was like the most definition of like facing your fear. That's what I was doing. So yeah, I would have gotten other comics to come beside me. And be like, look, here's what you do. Here's what, it looks like. But I also would have savored it more because I didn't know the value of what I was being given until, I was starting back from all the fanfares done. Now go out and do open mics. So, I would have appreciated the moment, I think, a little bit more had I known what it was going to take to get that moment again.
Well, and I think comedy has taught me the importance of celebrating the wins when they happen.
Yes.
You can't really tell if it's going to be great, if it's going to be what. So when you have those good show moments, no matter why they're a good show, just to be able to afterwards feel like that was fun.
Yes, I enjoyed myself.
Yes.
I did not feel like I was being humiliated publicly tonight. Yeah, like that's a win. So there is part of me though that's like, man, I want another one, because like I just want another opportunity to to try out new stuff. And
you know what? You probably will get one eventually, right?
I
Like
hope
there's going to be
so.
some time when you're at a sold out theater doing something and you'll be able to compare that experience to your very first, and it'll be
Sure.
like a cool little full circle
Yes.
season finale
Yes.
moment.
What
So,
I've realized is that everyone's road as a comic looks so different, and like everyone's peaks and valleys look different. Like instead of me grueling it out for a while and then get a special, I got a special, but then very much had to do the grueling around and
yeah,
grueling,
grueling
grueling
around. That's a
around.
good, that's a good phrase for what we do as comedians. We just, what are you and I just grueling around?
The voice too helped.
Yeah, that's not a, I'm just grueling around. That's like,
Yeah.
well, smoked for
Yeah,
20
exactly.
years.
Exactly. I became a chain smoker. Yeah, but I think since the beginning, I've had to learn how to fall in love with being a comedian,
Mhm.
um, as a comedian. So I don't know, the fact that it was kind of backwards, I think there's like good things, but then there's also challenges of like the hard feels extra hard now
Mhm.
because I've already done this,
Because you
and
are
so
at
yeah,
the good moments.
yeah. I think another like adjustment. This isn't one. You can ask me another question if you want, but like
No,
the thing.
it's okay for us to have an organic conversation. That's
Yay.
what podcasts are
Okay,
for.
great. Yeah, but okay, so I'm like in ministry at a church. Everyone's friendly.
Mhm.
Everyone will approach you and talk to you and save you a seat. And I didn't expect that to translate into like being a comedian, but like the stark contrast.
So, yeah,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
very different.
It's very different. Like, and so, yeah,
It's definitely more of a solitary sport. Like it's
it
definitely like a,
is.
and I'm gonna brag a little bit on the Clean Comedy Collective, and that's because this is our podcast, where I'm allowed to talk about
You
the
are. CCC.
um, the trying to build a community and working together and just being there for each other is a part of what makes our network unique. Is it's
Mm-hmm.
more than just like, oh, we're get together and do
Oh,
shows.
for
It's like
sure.
we try to do things in a more positive atmosphere. And I think it stems from, like, I know for me, like I have that ministry background as well, so
Yeah.
it was weird going into full-time comedy and
Yeah.
seeing the stark contrast, but also thinking, like, as someone who used to create community for the job, it's like, oh, we could do better. Like we can do better.
I love that.
And so I think that's important. But
And you do.
yeah.
Like, I will say, I have very few. I'm trying to think if I have any friends that are outside of C3, the Clean Comedy Collective. Like, that has been my primary source of community. So I could not have been. So the story continues. I started doing open mics and stuff because we intersected.
Yes, we
So
don't know
like,
how.
no, we don't. But we were at Sweetwater's together one
Yep.
day, and you told me about what you were doing, and I was like, "Oh my word! Like this is incredible. This is awesome." And so I then became CCC's, stray cat. Like put me in whenever and wherever, and yeah, that's been a huge gift.
And I will say, in watching you, so that might have been like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
And I can absolutely see the improvement, because when I first met you, I did track, as someone who'd been doing it longer, like,
yeah,
okay, she's had a few really awesome experiences and definitely has all the makings for a good comedian, but just needs more experience, needs more stage time,
yes,
needs more practice. She's still like that, new.
rookie.
Yeah, but when you do this long enough, and when you work, in my job working with comedians, you can tell I mean, I think everyone can eventually get there, but the harsh truth is that some people just have the natural talent more, so that they can get there quicker. So when I saw you, I saw like the natural like mixture of like things that would make for a good comedian, right?
Mm,
Which is why I was more invested in being like, hey, you should come to these shows, or
sure.
like, would you like to try your hand at hosting? Because I saw that you had all the raw material there,
Yeah, I
right?
appreciate that.
And yeah, and I can't explain. I mean, everyone can get there, but sometimes when you start noticing new comedians, you just see that some people have it more than others.
Mm,
And but for the other people, you just have to work harder. Like
yeah.
I'm probably more of a work harder person for it. But I've anyway. And I have seen over the years, because we had you start coming. You performed at the Bunganut Pig, which for everyone
Yeah.
listening to, it was just
Rest in peace.
it was just an old restaurant
Yeah.
basement that we did comedy in.
Yes.
And we had you there. We had you at Sweetwater's. We've had and now we've been on shows where we've traveled to go do shows together.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I told you this the last time we did a show in Owensboro, Kentucky, but we were co-headliners for that. And they didn't like, 'cause you went up before me. They didn't need me to be a headliner.
Mm.
Like you did you did your old woman impression. I'm sure.
Speaking of old people, it comes full circle.
It is this we
Betty
do. It is,
Beulah.
yeah, and it absolutely killed. And just your stage presence from the first time I had seen you, which was like in an open mic in Franklin,
Sure,
so not
sure.
it's nothing the same, but like it was cool to be able to see the growth in the past few,
Yeah.
and that, but that wasn't an accident. That was, you have been putting the time in.
Yeah, muscle memory.
Yeah. So, and I feel like your story of getting those big shows early on, while it is uncommon, it is not as uncommon as it used to be in the age of like social media
Sure.
influencers and comedians that kind of find their following first and
Yeah.
then start trying to go to the stage, and they get the bookings because they can fill the room.
Mhm.
I've worked with a lot of them. Those are actually great people to get tied as like a feature for, because then
Sure.
you can go do time and get paid well, and
Yeah.
they they're the one that gets all the seats
Yes.
that a lot of them do not develop an act. And so they get
Mm.
maybe themselves a 1 or 2 years of good comedy career, and then they fall off the map because it's hard to kind of keep it going.
Yes.
And I think one thing you've done is you've developed. I mean, you did have that really cool, interesting start, but
Mhm.
then you've done the legwork afterward, and that's
Yeah.
important.
Thank you. I really I appreciate everything you've said. I think I've also tried to move more from, like, when I did the first special, I was still working for a church. And so a lot of my content wasn't like clean. It was like actually specifically Bible. And I think part of being a part of the CCC has told me, like, or taught me that, man, I can also do clean comedy. Like, there's so many topics that are out there for grabs, and I've loved that. So it's like, yeah, you don't figure out who you are in this scene until you've had lots of trial and error.
Right.
And I appreciate that you've given me a space to try and fail and succeed and all of the things.
Yeah, it's what we have to do as comedians, because
Yeah.
because we all this idea that people would just start comedy and are fantastic, right? Like I mean, from the very beginning, when you're a comedy fan and you watch a special on Netflix and you're like, wow, that just seems so easy for that person.
Yeah.
The reality is, if that's their first special, that's average 10 years worth of work put into, like,
Right.
And so, like, this idea that it just comes so easily and you should just naturally be, I mean, that's not how it works.
No. And creatively, I feel like I got all of my eggs out of the basket at the show. And it was like, I had this like creative thing in me that needed to come out, and then it did. And then it's like, wait, now another one? Like, now more? And so, like, that's been something too, of just like the work it takes to keep making funny material. Like, it's all encompassing. Like, I'm sure you're the same way too, but just thinking about it all the time, writing it down after a conversation goes, it's amusing, and just like the all encompassingness of it, and the daunting nature of saying, like, okay, that was special number 2's done. Now I can't use any of that for my next special. Yeah.
And I've rethought that a little bit for myself, because after my first 2, I was like, okay, I'm never using that stuff again. But then it really bothered me, because I was like, that's
so good
stuff.
Yeah.
And what I've come to the conclusion for myself is my specials aren't like Nate Bargatze's specials, aren't like Dusty Slay specials, but they're on Netflix and tons of people are seeing them.
Right.
Like, people who come to my shows still haven't heard my stuff from my 2019 special. So I can do it.
You can recycle that.
And it's fine. Like, so I do still, when I go to my shows, I still do the quote unquote my greatest hits, because they haven't been hits yet. They haven't like they're not.
Right. It's a manifestation.
Yeah. So then another question, kind of based off of I'll eventually get to the questions I wrote down, but
you're fine.
So having had such a big couple things right off the bat, when you look down the road for yourself now, like, what are comedy goals that you have for yourself, or things you'd like to see, or like, what now? I mean, like, what do you've peaked and
I'm done. This podcast is it. Once I walk out of this room, my career is over.
That makes sense. I mean, this is a natural.
This is a natural end. This is the end of the road.
Yes.
I think now I want to. So I want to write another special. Like, and that's what I am slowly doing, without the pressure of like having one already set for me.
You haven't, yeah.
Yes. So that's what I'm doing now, is just looking out for content. But I would say my goals are more like venue related.
Mhm.
Like I have a checklist of like places I want to perform at. And I would love, like, one of my end goals has always been being a warmer for like a touring artist or a touring comedian, because why I love comedy is like bursting that bubble in the room, that awkward tension, getting people in a place where they can hear whatever's coming next. So
Yeah.
like touring with a major comic and opening for them,
Yeah.
or like having my own tour, that would be fantastic too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but for now it's like I'm still like, I want to get better before I try and do all the things I just described. So right now is more of like a refining time where I want to just, okay, I know these jokes are funny. Then start shopping them around and then, pursue filming them. I also have a goal of getting a dry bar special. That hasn't been on my radar. And then lately I've just really wanted it. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to make that happen? Still would love to perform at Zany's. That's still always the white whale.
It's the white whale, but and here in Nashville, it's a big deal.
It is.
Well, I mean, and it even expands to that. I mean, I say here in Nashville because we're in Nashville, but like it is the biggest comedy club in the South. Like it is.
It's the spot. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of it for now. Is like I want to write some more good jokes, and yeah. Whereas before I just kind of flung stuff around and not careless with it, but more free spirited. I'm just going to go. And now I'm more careful.
That's definitely the signs of a more mature comedian. Now, one of the things I read on your bio was that you'd opened for a lot of like Christian music artists or you've worked with them. Was that in a comedy setting? Like, did you open for Matthew West doing stand-up comedy?
No, I did not tour with Matthew West. But like they would be performing in town and need someone just to get the audience corralled or excited.
Oh, cool.
And I loved it. So I'd do like a tight five, and then walk off the stage and that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something that really, it's so simple. Like it's just, you would not think I was so excited about that, but man, I don't know.
It was fun. You really enjoy just being the hype person?
Yeah. The hype person.
From life to like where we weren't doing comedy or we weren't at a show and now we are.
It's a power. It's a power. Like I have changed the room.
Wait, and you wrote 3 films? I'm sorry, that was a surprise.
No, you're fine. Yeah, throw it down. Yes. So, man, I don't even know how that happened. To be honest, there was a Christian film being made in the town I was at. And somehow the producer of that movie asked me to write it, and then 2 more. So like the movies, they're on Netflix, like they're made.
What movie can you say? Are you allowed to say what they are?
Well, I'll totally tell you.
So Fast and Furious.
All 7. Are there 7?
There's so much more than
7. I thought it was 7.
7 is the best one.
So clearly no. So I wrote the first one was called Uncommon. The second's called Crossing Streets. And the third one's called Nearly Married. They're all very, what's a good way of saying it? Very clean. Very clean.
Okay.
Yes, the whole family could watch. Yeah. If you're just curious, if you have some time, go look them up.
Check them out. Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed writing. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love comedy is because at my heart, I'm a writer. And so... yeah, that was super fun. I don't know if I'll ever write a screenplay again. That's like a whole different beast.
It's a different kind of writing.
It is. And like I was pretty much contracted like, hey, we want a story about this. So it's not like, hey, creative person, come here and just imagine.
Right.
So I didn't love like having a predetermined, storyline or whatever. But yeah, it was a super fun experience. I got to be assistant director of the films. Like I got to help make them. At least a couple, so that was really fun.
That's cool, yeah. And then
Can we watch all of 3 of my movies and review them on your podcast? That would be...
Bring the quarter mile back. And
absolutely.
Just a little mini series. They do that. That's in right now, doing little reboots like they did in 4 episodes of Malcolm in the Middle. Like what?
Yes,
maybe we need to. I'm open to the idea of that.
Your podcast revisits cheesy, family-friendly movies.
I do miss reviewing movies. Speaking Speaking of which,
Yeah.
so this is the first time in Clean Comedy Chats podcast history where when I asked the guest to be on, she asked me if we could talk about a certain question. So if anyone future guests, you're allowed to tell me if you want to talk about
I'm
something.
paving the way.
I'd never been like I had a topic request on the podcast, but
I was so curious.
So we both watched the movie Is This Thing On? And which is on
Will
Netflix and
Arnett.
a bunch of other Will Arnett, a lot of other things.
Directed
And
by
so-
Bradley Cooper.
Directed, yes, that's right, and also he's in it.
He's in it. Yeah.
So Jordan Jensen's also in it, formerly a
Yes.
Nashville comedian, now a New York comedian.
Yeah.
Recent special. But that, and so if you all don't know, and maybe you do because you're listening to this podcast, I do have a movie rewatch podcast history. If you ever want to hear me talk more about action movies and especially the Fast and Furious, check out the Quarter Mile podcast. That's my other podcast. So it currently has 59 episodes, but who knows? We may add a 3-episode miniseries to cover the Christian movies, the clean movies.
We would have to watch them live. Like you would have to see our reactions.
Okay,
That would be the whole
would
thing.
be fun.
Yeah.
But so we're taking a moment to talk about this movie, Is This Thing On? And I guess my first question is, what was it about this movie where like I have thoughts, I want to talk about it, like because it hit me. It had some comedy and it had some comedy culture, and it also had some like romance and life.
Sure.
And I was more interested in the comedy part of it when I was watching it. But
Yes,
what
me
about
too.
you? What was it? What did this movie stir in for you?
Yeah. First, I think it's just fascinating. I'm so interested to see movies and shows that depict like someone trying to do comedy.
Do you think it was did this one fairly depict comedy?
This was the thing. This is the whole thing. Okay, so did you ever watch Pete Holmes' Crashing?
So much.
Okay.
I've seen it through at least 3 times. It was the series that gave me permission to feel okay with the fact that I want to leave ministry to do stand-up comedy.
That's
Like,
amazing. I didn't know this.
It is a very formative show for me. I even
Yeah.
last time Pete Holmes was coming here to town to perform at Zany's, I sent him a message which was a little too long and stalkery, which is probably why he didn't respond. But I explained how that I'd love to open for him to get a spot available. And I was like, this is how Crashing changed my life. I have opened for several comedians in Crashing. My favorite
No.
comedy experience in general was Jamie Lee performed at Huntsville. It's Levity Live now, but it used to be called something different. I don't remember. But I saw that she was performing. So on the way back from the gig, I went to go watch it. And my friend was hosting, so she was like, she made reference that, one of my comedian friends back there. Then Jamie Lee was like, do you want to do time?
No.
And I was like, absolutely. So I got to open for it. And then I did so well. She's like, do you want to come back tomorrow? So I literally drove back to Nashville and drove. But when I was in LA, I got comedy advice from one of the writers for Crashing.
No.
So yeah, no, it's
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So that's my standard of like Crashing was one of the most realistic depictions of like what it's like to try and do comedy.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that feels very, very familiar. When I watched this thing on, which they weren't, I don't think their goal was to like accurately depict someone trying to get in, but I was just like, that is not how it went. And that's not how it goes. Like he walks into the place, he's drunk and high, wanting to do this thing. But anyways, all these comedians are like, come sit with us.
Right. That was the first one. I was like, first of all,
they're like, we're bringing you in. We're taking you under our wing, you cute little aspiring comic. And I'm like, And then, he does his thing and they're all very like, they're joshing with him. They're joking. And I'm like, that's not how it is. And then I think, 5 minutes after he's tried to be a comedian, he gets a call to open for.
Right. Well, and I will say what they tried to present in the movie was like, it was over a period of time. So by the time he got to do that opening bit, this part of the story was like he'd been doing this for a while. He'd been going to open
What,
mics.
2 months? 3 months?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
I mean, it's not like he did it once and then went to sold out theater.
I think the point is
okay,
I felt right. Okay, this is the thing. My husband was like, what do you want to talk to Drew about that movie for? And I told him, I'm like, this is just unrealistic. I don't relate to it. And he was like, didn't you say Drew wanted to talk about how you did one comedy show? But like, I think it's more of the culture. And that is totally the pot, calling kettle, whatever. But it's just the culture of like, we're here to help you along your journey. And then there was that kind lady who was like, I've been doing this 25 years. I'll get you shows. Called him up. Like, do you want to do
Right.
this? And I'm like, where's my old lady?
Right. Well, and I think that is I do think they made it look more common than it is. They definitely
Sure.
the hyper realism of this, like you watch how they depict comedy and it makes you think like, oh, I want to be part of that as well. And then like you know, if you
Sure.
get the reality of it, you see like, oh, there was some movie magic in that. I
Yeah.
will say though that every person who's ever become successful in comedy has had that quote unquote nice old lady.
Yeah. There was also a part that I deeply resonated with where someone he's with is leaving to go to work. Like they had slept together and she's going to work. And he was like, I didn't know you were a nurse. I thought you were a comedian. And she was like, I am a comedian. And then goes to her nursing job.
I can resonate with that too. Yeah.
I stopped and I was like, yes. Because
people are always like, what do you do? And
right.
I'm a comedian. They're like, yeah, but like during the day.
Exactly. And I just felt very seen in that moment. And like her persistence in being like, yes, I am going to go be a nurse. I am a comedian. Like, I don't know. That was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, I've always said that pursuing comedy is like every day swimming upstream. And as soon as you stop, the current just eats you alive, you know? So, yeah, I appreciated seeing it depicted like someone who is doing her stuff and she also has a full time, but she's, you know, both.
One thing I thought was interesting was because people always talk about how like comedy is like my therapy or whatever, and it's really not, because therapy helps you overcome your issues. Comedy may help you realize that that's part of it, or it may like give you. It's helpful to reflect on whatever your issues are. But at the when we were watching this, like the movie as it was going, I was thinking it was going to be another like comedy is like my therapy,
right?
But because that he'd get up there, and I did like how you saw him do a whole 5-minute set.
Yeah.
You felt the awkwardness of
the silence.
Right. Like, and I thought that was something I don't normally see in those. Either you watch them bomb completely, or it's like or like they just killed it naturally or whatever.
Right.
And so you felt like he did well at some points. He bombed at other points. You could just the way he acted, you could see the nervousness and the uncertainty. But then at the end, like, hey, this was fun. I want to do it again. And I feel like it did a very good job of
had the bug.
That first comedy experience. But then it was kind of like it was his therapy. It was how he was overcoming his but
it was a coping mechanism.
It was a coping mechanism. He wasn't healing from it, and I was so glad they included that scene where like when all the stuff hit the fan and he was doing it, he just gets up there and he like explodes and rants and makes it so uncomfortable. And because I'm sure you've seen at open mics that happens. And you know it's not funny, but that's why comedy is not therapy. That's
right. Exactly.
Like the purpose of you sharing your crazy stuff is to entertain. So
another totally unrealistic thing about it I thought was that he got his family in the room.
Absolutely.
Like they wanted his wife there, he got his dad.
Right. They all randomly. What are the odds that she goes on a date and sees that? That was
They were so supportive.
Now, what was realistic to me was when he was talking to his parents the first time about being a comedian and their reactions to it. That.
So why don't you just get a motorcycle and a leather jacket? I was thinking about this too. I feel like when you decide to do comedy, you're really like bringing home another person for your family to meet. It's like this whole other thing that's foreign to them, and you're asking for them to accept it, and they may or may not. And that's part of it's like all the challenges with comedy. It's like there are so many on stage and there are some off stage of like, I'm also working for this to be like a valid pursuit in my own head.
Yeah.
Because of all the noise. And then to have family who's like also contributing to that.
Right.
Like that sounds super hard. You know what I would love from friends and family? I'm going to send this to everyone I know. just curiosity.
Yeah.
Just like, how do you write a joke? What are you excited about right now? Just any sort of curiosity around, I don't know.
Yeah.
The craft in general or whatever. I think because I don't like the people in my immediate circle don't do it. I think there's just this like, oh, that's your thing.
Yeah.
Like you go off and do it, you know? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's weird I've learned if people ask like, how'd the show go this weekend? I just say like, good.
Right.
Because
they're asking, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
All right.
And if I go into details, either
they get lost.
Yeah. It's either like, they get jealous, like, wait, you did that, and then they like, what do you think, you're better than me, kind of thing. Like, there's a weird that
Yes.
reaction, or there's like, well, that's not really a job, or like that's not really that
Right.
big of a deal, or like
Right.
you should
Either
grow
way,
up.
it's
Yeah.
like,
So
ooh.
yeah, no one's ever like that's an appropriate, like no one gives like an
Right.
appropriate
Right.
reaction. So it's like
Yes.
it was fun.
Which is another reason why we need each other.
Yep.
Like, I know that I could call you and be like, dude, this set,
Yeah.
this and that, and you would give me helpful feedback. And
Yeah, or it's comforting sometimes. You're like, man, I just
I
totally
get it.
bombed.
Yeah.
That was a
Yes.
rough show.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the times where another comic has reached out or helped, like there's a really funny girl, Christy Condor, who we
Mhm.
both know. And I mean, we're not like super, we don't know each other super well, but she took me to lunch and it was
Yeah.
like the greatest thing ever. And like, I don't know, going back to your point of like, we need each other and having that person who's roping you in, bringing you in.
Yeah.
So shout out to Christy
Yeah, I
Condor.
get it, Christy. We're in her on this podcast sometime. 'Cause she's in the Clean Comedy Collective.
She
So,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
um,
all the comics that I know.
yes.
I'll come back to you, Drew.
But thank you. What was I gonna say? Well, here's the interesting thing about comedy and comedians is it's so important to find your people. What we that's one of our selling points of the Clean Comedy Collective. But even if you're not part of the Clean Comedy Collective, finding the comedians that like you hang out with at the open mics or that you can go out to lunch with
Yes.
and like have real life friendships. And the longer you do this, you find those people. It
Yes.
just and for lack of some of it, it's because you both are in the same city and you're still doing it. Like,
Right.
so, like
There's you
like,
again.
I went to a birthday party last night of a comedian that I mean we're friends now, but I think mainly we're friends because we've both been in
Yes.
this over a
It's
decade.
proximity.
So, yes,
Right
like,
place, right
yes,
time.
absolutely. But here's the challenge, and I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on comedians, but this has been my experience. Because we're such charismatic and bubbly and fun people usually,
hmm
it is very hard to tell is this person my friend or just like a coworker?
Absolutely.
Right? Because sometimes what I learned is not everyone on your side is actually on your side.
hmm
Oftentimes you're just going the same direction. And then you both are the final
And
two
you're
for
both
that
up.
drive out
Yep.
our special and they get it
Mhm.
and you don't. And then where's that leave your friendship? Or the other way around.
Absolutely.
And so it's really so I've always had a hard time with that in comedy is deciphering, is this person a genuine friend or are they a coworker? And you can still get along with your coworkers, but there's not the ones who you're gonna like
Right.
really dive into life
Right.
with, Now we're gonna do a game, Ask a Comic. So we already
Yeah,
picked the
let's-
questions.
I'm so excited.
So here's your first question. I believe this came from Chris Durant on Facebook, who's a
I
friend.
haven't heard these.
Okay, yeah. So
I didn't
yeah.
pick them.
Yeah, so I saved you all listening time and we picked the numbers earlier, we asked them, and so here are the questions. So do you have any tips on how to overcome writer's block?
Okay, this is where I can shout out someone. I can shout out Rich Tallarico,
Cool. I
who
don't know if I know Rich.
he came in. So he wrote for Key and Peele.
Cool. I know Key and
He
Peele.
actually wrote the bit, The Substitute Teacher.
Okay.
Like
yep.
that was him.
Yep.
And he was teaching at Third Coast. So I took a class with him. Yeah. And he said that the remedy for writer's block was asking the who, what, where, why. So like, who cares about this? Who would hate this? Who would be most excited to hear this? Like curiosity. I think I could sum it up with that.
Okay.
Like being curious and asking questions. That kind of gets me out of a funk. And yeah, it helps me see things from a new perspective. Instead of just like, I have to conjure this up myself and lift this thing. But just getting curious. And from my own personal experience, not stressing when you have that creative block. Because it's going to happen. Like you're not a creative
And the more you stress
robot.
over it, the more you're
yes,
making it worse.
It's like when you're stressed and someone's like, just don't stress. Don't stress.
Calm down.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say just like, don't hate it. Don't fight it. Ride the wave. Sometimes it might be your creative self saying like, hey, slow down a little bit. Like we are still human. But other than just not taking that fear, I would say just getting curious.
Yeah.
Another thing, which I really, really appreciate, that is discipline right there. That is discipline. But another thing is like picking or even having someone else pick a topic,
Yeah.
like bananas, and like I have to write something about, like give yourself pressure.
Yeah.
I just said, don't just ride the waves. But another approach is to
Or
put yourself
or
yes,
or put your big girl pants on.
right. Get off the
and
surfboard.
be a freaking comedian.
Do your job.
Right.
But yeah, starting with a topic and just yeah. Because sometimes if there is an assignment, it helps.
Right. I like this question. It's what's your favorite comment someone has told you after a set?
Oh my gosh.
And I'll add to this favorite or like most ridiculous. Like because people say some weird stuff.
They do. The most memorable always is like, you were funny.
Right.
Like they're surprised.
Like, yeah.
Or they'll even add an actually, like, you were actually funny.
I get that. I literally have a joke about that. That's literally my third special name, actually funny. Because,
hey, I love that. Yeah. So that's always, and then if like sometimes people will be like, I really liked your joke about X, Y, and Z. And it was like the first joke I did. Like,
did you listen to the rest?
Did it just peak and then just drop off? Yeah, depending on the situations. But the one that just came to mind first was, man, you were actually, you blew my mind because I thought you were going to be terrible.
They never say that second part, but it's implied.
That's implied.
Yeah, so
yes.
This is the last question. It's funny because I feel like a lot of what we talked about has been around this, but what is your writing process?
Yeah, my writing process is life. And then as things happen, I will get the notes section of my phone. I have like 100 notes just called like bits 2, bits 3, bits today or whatever. And literally just write a sentence. And then usually like late at night after I've done all the things, I'm looking at my phone, looking at the notes and like, you know, for some reason when I'm falling asleep, when I'm like trying to sleep, that is when all the ideas start kicking.
That might be the ADHD.
Probably.
I think that's like a thing.
Yes. But yeah, it's the notes section on my phone. And then slowly, if it makes the cut on the notes section, like I always read my jokes to my husband. He's a bigger fan of comedy than I am. So, you know, judging on his reaction, I'll either like, I'll keep going or not. But then they go to a Word document. And then I start trying to sort them by subject and find the links. So
our process is so similar. Just
really?
So you know,
is it really?
Yeah, because I'm on. I'll think of something funny will happen, and I'll really kind of think of the funny part or the punchline first, and then I'll put it on my phone so I don't forget it. And I do have plenty of like different notes for different topics. I don't say bit 1, bit 2, but it's weirder because I'll be like Bowler's Body, Chick-fil-A,
mixed in with all your life stuff.
Right, and people are like shopping list Bowler's Body. What?
Right.
So, thankfully, no one reads.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, no, I was just thinking because I have a joke about how people look at. I've had a middle school girl tell me, she's like, "You have the same body type as a professional bowler," and so I wrote a joke about that when that happened. So yeah, but I get like weird inspiration like driving or often like the getting up in the morning process, like the shower and stuff like that, or like watching TV, watching other comedians.
Watching TV. Yep. Yes, I was watching the TV. The
that one, the TV.
The singular TV. And there was a commercial for what was it? Something sightseeing, and I was like, sightseeing, like if you do not have sight, that's like a double whammy. Like you cannot sight or see.
Yeah, and you definitely can't sightsee.
No, you can't. It's like, man, 2 blows in one. So I just like will write sightseeing on my phone, and then hope I remember what it was linked to. And
at some point, I have to sit down and like, how do I make this coherent? How do I make it somebody else?
Yes,
like I get what I'm saying.
You had to be there. Yeah. So yeah, it's life notes. Word document and then sorting. And before I have a special, I'll get a foam poster board and put every note as a sticky note in order and color code them of like, this is what I'm talking about my family. It's blue, then pink. So that when I'm doing it, I'm mentally picturing
that's cool.
Notes. Yeah.
I do organize the topics once I'm putting a special together where I make, and it's always like, if it's a longer routine, so like 30 minutes or more, the last joke will have something to do with the next
Oh,
topic,
right.
and that's how
Yeah.
I remember
That's
where I'm
cool.
going. So
That's cool.
well, hey, this is a friendly reminder. If you have any questions, feel free to. There's a button on whatever you're listening to. It's a send mail or whatever. You can click it and you can write in a question. If you see us on YouTube, you can comment. I've had people just email me the questions, so you can
Really?
do that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, you could just come knock on my door and send a personal delivery.
I'm going to note you my question and then send it via Word document.
There we go.
And then we're going to poster board it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And in different color.
Yeah, for sure.
So that'll be good. Well, okay, first of all, thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking comedy, especially with you.
Well, thank you. And I agree. This is so much fun. I always learn a lot through these interviews.
Yeah.
And then it makes me sound really smart when I'm talking comedy to other people. And
then you can just recycle.
I do. I'm like, well, actually, I was talking to a comedian last week, and this is what they were saying.
Maybe I should start a podcast, Drew.
The cleaner comedy.
The cleanest.
Crass comedy chats. I love that. Well, so this is your time to plug whatever you want to plug. Where can we find you? What do you have coming up?
TheCarrieMurphy.com has everything. It has all my shows, everything what I'm doing. But also follow me at The Carrie Murphy. Honestly, because I would just love to connect with you all, have some conversations like Drew and I are having here. And I want to encourage anyone who is listening to this and you are pursuing the art of comedy to stick at it, keep at it. You're doing great. And keep doing you, man. Keep taking the right next step. Keep hustling, and that's how it happens. So yeah, keep fighting the good fight.
There we go. Amen. I'm so glad you said that, because one of the questions I forgot to ask you, but I really wanted to know the answer was like, what advice do you have for comics? Just and it sounds like it's keep doing it.
Just keep failing.
Yeah.
Honestly, just keep failing. Like as long as it's feeling good and you're like still, hungry for it, like just keep putting yourself in rooms, like keep doing it. And I would say too, there have been so many times where I've had, something scheduled and I don't feel funny. I feel angry, or it's been a bad week or whatever, and do it anyway. Just do it anyway. So,
and do you feel better afterwards? Because that
100%
to me.
It's almost better.
Yeah.
Because then I'm going on with like, I gotta turn this around, like I'm extra charged. So, and you're doing it well, you're doing the right thing. Just, stay positive.
Yeah, that's good. And for anyone, thank you so much for listening to us. Follow us at cleancomedycollective.com. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. For anyone who wants to check out our shows, we have shows all across the country. I believe at this point we have 220 comedians across the nation in like 30-ish states, 32. I don't know. Yeah. It's a lot more than just Middle Tennessee.
Let's go.
Last year it was like me and Carrie and a few people from Middle Tennessee. So
it's exploded.
And so there's stuff going on all across the country, and you can hit a lot of different states on our site and find comedians near you. And every week we bring a different one onto this podcast, so feel free to check out our earlier episodes. I believe this is episode 12, so we've interviewed 11 other comedians, so from all over the place. And there's a donate function if you'd like to join our Patreon. You get early access to the episodes, and you get the uncut episodes. So for example, in this episode, one of the parts that's going to be cut is me mispronouncing Christian artist names. And you're like, that sounds like
I'll pay for that.
Yeah, right. So you can.
Don't even tell them what names.
Oh, I wouldn't dare. But yeah, there's and especially thank you. There's a few people who have commented from earlier episodes and sent really nice things about what they've appreciated about this podcast, and that's been really helpful for me. So thank you if you listen to us regularly. Appreciate you. And we'll be back next week with a different artist. So thank you guys so much, and hope you have a great rest of the day.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.